You're going to hear a lot of road noise. I've been alerted to the reality that I do these videos when I'm in my car and there's a lot of road noise. So if you have a lot of bass or a subwoofer when you're watching this or listening to this, that's really going to be obvious. There's nothing I can do about that. I really want to go home, so I'm not going to pull over to make a video. It's been a long day. I left work at 6 a.m. or I left for work at 6 a.m. Here it is, 7 p.m. and I'm on my way home. I'll be getting home at like 7:45 p.m. It's like a 45 minute to an hour commute one way. It is what it is. There aren't really any opportunities closer that's worth my time, to be real. And be like that sometimes. If only I was like another color or sexual identity, or if I could speak Spanish, maybe I could work closer to home, but that's the city for you. It's not really worth it anyways, because I hate the city, and I'm miserable every time I'm there. Anytime I leave my house, I'm miserable. Got a couple of cool neighbors in the little suburb where I rent, so that's something at least. It has nothing to do with this video. This is just me being tired and ranting. So, I was watching an Andrew Wilson podcast the other night, and Andrew Wilson's channel, The Crucible, is very much about, waging war against things like degeneracy and modernity and just the iniquity and depravity of coomerism. These people, they don't have any values, they don't really have any standards by which they live. Anybody that he debates on his channel, they generally just are so easily and readily dismantled because they have no principles. They don't believe in what they're arguing for. I mean, half the time they're the one that come to Andrew with the topic to debate, and then they're picking a side in a debate that they don't even believe in. I mean, look at Destiny. That dude has no principles. He'll debate anything, and he doesn't believe anything he says. He doesn't even believe the words coming out of his own mouth. Which is why he loses so spectacularly, so often. He is a profoundly impressive failure in a lot of things. He's got infinitely more money than me, and he makes a lot of money losing his ass in debates, so all the more power to him for coming up in the world. I spent the better part of the day stripping off a roof, drying it in, and shingling that roof. Or helping, rather. It's not my trade. I'm a concrete finisher by trade, so I'm kind of out of my depth. Just trying to be useful any way I can. Having a driver's license and whatnot. It's pretty good. So what I wanted to talk about is marriage came up because the nature of Andrew Wilson's podcast that night was analyzing a debate between two people. Michael Knowles and Pearl, Just Pearly Things. Michael Knowles, of course, being aligned with the Daily Wire, and Pearl's channel, Just Pearly Things. She's kind of an agent provocateur for matters and issues revolving around the red pill community, which honestly is just garbage. I've noticed Andrew Wilson making the rounds and scheduling a lot of future debates with a lot of red pill personalities, and I'm just profoundly eager to see that play out, because the dude is really talented. He believes in the things he argues for, which is so rare in the debate field. Like, this guy actually lives what he's declaring to be the correct position, and that's actually very inspirational to me personally. So I'm big on that playing out. Now, Michael Knowles was taking the position, hey, you gotta get married, bro. Pearl was in the position of, well, marriage is not inherently bad when everything's going great, but most marriage fails now, and it's not looking optimistic, and you're gonna go through some shit if you try the marriage thing. It's just gonna fall apart, and the girl's gonna divorce you and take half your shit, and it's gonna ruin your life. So, all things being equal, marriage might be good, but in reality, marriage sucks, don't do it. Michael is over here saying, like, you need to get married, it doesn't matter what it personally costs you, and even if it all goes to pot, it was worth it because you did your duty, because it's your duty to get married, and, put yourself into a binding contract without a whole lot of forward research or provisions. And Pearl is like, well, if you're gonna do it, then there should be a lot of provisions. It should be very provisional. And Michael Knowles is like, even if you got to get with a burned out, worn out, dog toy, stretched out, OnlyFans thought, it's you still got to do it. You got to do it. You got to get married. And Pearl is like, I don't know. Maybe be more discerning. I'm really skeptical about this whole marriage thing. So anyways, that was kind of the tenor of the debate between Michael Knowles and Pearl. And of course, Andrew had this debate playing and was pausing it intermittently to interject his opinions on each position in the debate, and where he thought the debate was good on both sides and where he thought it needed shoring up and strengthening. And I think what he concluded was that Pearl had all the facts but sucked at presenting them, whereas Michael Knowles was just kind of a smarmy moron and a Catholic simp, which Catholicism is just disgusting no matter where you fall on the belief in Christ, whether you do or don't. Catholicism is not a really great way to go. I mean, like, if you've ever picked up a Bible and read it, you'll know pretty early on that Jesus was not down with things like troons and, LGBT stuff. Like, he had some pretty strong words about that type of thing. And they weren't promotional towards those particular leanings. So, the Pope just going out here and allegedly being the conduit for God's, voice to man, saying some pretty anti-Christian things, as in for anti-Christ, like the opposite. Like, his words are anathema to what Christ would say in the same situation. Not like literally he's the Antichrist. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that like everything the Pope says is like and does is against Christianity. So I mean, anti-Christian or anti-Christ is kind of a misnomer on my part. I misspoke. I'm saying he's taken a position that would be oppositional to the position Christ would take in that same given situation on that same given topic. So I don't suspect that it's a good time to be a Catholic, and you can't fundamentally be Catholic without effectively endorsing and or standing by everything the Pope says, because the Pope is the head of your church. And if you're in a church and you say the head of my church is 100% incorrect on this issue or all issues, what have you, then you're kind of just, what the fuck are you even doing, right? So like, it's just not good with the whole Catholicism thing right now. I mean, it's important that you find faith that speaks to you personally. I would say it's critical that you find faith somewhere, anywhere, whether it's Islam, Christianity, freaking Mormonism, Latter-day Saints. I mean, look, dude, running over to Mormonism, Latter-day Saints, and Scientology, probably not the best pick. And if you live in the West, I don't know if Islam is going to be wholly compatible with what's going on around here, but like, you do you, boo. It's your soul. Spend it carefully, because your eternity depends on the decision you make regarding your soul. Unless, of course, you're atheist and you don't believe in anything, which your religion tells you that you're already doomed to an eternity of nothingness. So I don't even know why you're still here. Just kick off already. I don't know. But I don't believe that atheists believe what they say they believe. I think they're just bullshitting themselves, and they're just living in a constant, perpetual state of abject terror of mortality, and then, like the finality of death. And they're so mortified and paralyzed by this terror that they just spend all their days coping and cooming, and it's kind of pathetic to watch. I really kind of feel bad for them. I'm not a Christian myself. I'm not even a Judeo-Christian. I kind of lean more to Asatru, which is kind of a Nordic thing. If I was to convert, I would probably go with Orthodox Christianity, like Eastern Orthodox, because it has a lot of the lifespan of Catholicism as far as like being around for long enough to get some things right and figure some things out. Because look, dude, you're not going to pick up a Bible 200 years ago and suddenly know what the fuck is going on and know more than everybody else and know better than everyone what's supposed to happen. It takes time and many generations trying to ascertain the will of God before it opens itself up to you. It's not something you know more than everybody else after 5 days with the Bible. It doesn't work that way. So, Protestantism and stuff like that, I'd probably steer away from that. And plus, those guys are super cringe. And again, 9 minutes into this thing, and we are not talking about the whole reason I made this video. I wanted to get into the marriage thing, and I had made a comment in Andrew's video that, in my perception, the granular unit of a homogeneous and healthy society is family. It's not the individual, it's family. So marriage serves an important mechanic in a functioning society where two families are brought together to create a larger family tie between them, which creates more cohesion and cooperation within a given community. So in a time before things like nations and governments, you would have tribes, if you will. And in order for tribes to fully get along with each other and trust each other, they would oftentimes intermarry, basically taking almost like a hostage situation where like I'm going to give you my daughter, right? And then you're going to give me one of your daughters, and then your daughter will marry one of my sons, and my daughter will marry one of your sons, and we know we're not going to fuck around on each other because now we got skin in the game with the outcome of each other's well-being. So marriage is kind of a thing that brings a society tighter. So like when you go to Iceland, which is one of the most homogenous countries in modern times, they have a very high trust society where you can effectively leave your car unlocked and people aren't just going down the street stealing stereos. Because to a point, everyone on that island, like we're talking 99.5% plus, are interrelated. Now it might only be like fourth or fifth cousins, and they actually have an app that they designed to where like when you date someone and you want to hook up with them, you can bump your phones to each other, and like if you're too closely related, it'll ping and be like, oh, don't do that, that's literally your second cousin, bro. They actually have to do that. That's how tight they are. But because they're so tight, they have guns. Like maybe not as many guns as America, but citizens can go get a gun. Like if you want an assault rifle in Iceland, I think you can go buy one. And there's no shootings and shit like that because everybody's fucking related. Everybody's real nice to each other. Everybody helps each other out. All of the society is pretty tightly engaged with politics on that island nation, and everybody kind of just like has respect for each other and pulls their own weight, and there's not a whole lot of deadbeats and bullshit on that island because society has been drawn together by family. Now, when you live in a country where there's things like plurality or so-called diversity, you got a fucking shit show on your hands, and there's nothing that's going to fix that. And by putting the institution of marriage or things like that in the hands of the state, it basically muddies it and waters it down and makes it so dysfunctional to where the government has effectively turned something that provides an impetus and incentive to have a good outcome, i.e. get along with your wife, have many children, and get in tight with her family so that you guys can do business together, and maybe even like literally a family business type thing. And instead of having an impetus and an incentive to do what's good and what's right and have a positive outcome, the government being involved in marriage basically incentivizes you to divorce. If you're a woman. If you're a man, you just get fucked. But the woman gets like half of everything for doing nothing. She can literally cheat on you with your best friend, get half your shit when you divorce her because she's such a backstabbing bitch. And that's your lot as a man. So basically give up, man. Just work really hard. Work your whole life away. Die young so that we don't have to pay you any benefits. Better yet, hey, why don't you just, go ahead and enlist in the military, and we'll send you overseas, and you can die for us over there. We'll splatter your guts all over some village, and we'll get our way and push some people around, do some foreign interventionism with your own blood. And then, if you've had any kids, we'll send them over there and sacrifice them at the altar of the military-industrial complex. Your government over here in the West doesn't give a shit about you because the people that you've elected into office do not have the same set of values as you do. And the worst part is they're not answerable to you, even though they require your votes ostensibly to get in, but they don't answer to you. Now, how the hell does that work? It's because when you have no ties to someone, be it family or community, the only thing left to motivate them is money, greed, personal gain. And the antidote to that, to a point I could say is God, but more importantly is relationships. If you have a very tight relationship with the chief of police in your town, like this dude is every barbecue you throw, do you think he's going to disrespect you on the regular? Do you think he's going to tell his officers to just nail you with whatever sticks whenever they pull you over? No, of course not. To a certain point, not only is he answerable to you, he's answerable to the entire crowd of people at every barbecue you throw if he starts giving you shit, because now they're going to look at him like, dude, we thought we knew you. What the fuck happened to you, bro? Accountability comes up quick when you're in tight with people. You're not going to mouth off and say the same fucked up things to your friends and family in person that you would to some stranger online. Even if you're a shit-posting troll, you're not going to take that shit to the doorstep of the people that are sheltering you and giving you work opportunities and looking after you. You know, if you're sick and you need help, or you're laid up because you got hurt on the job, these people are going to let you crash on the couch. You're not going to do them like that unless you're retarded. Which maybe some people are, but most people aren't. So if you want a better society and something less like the United States government, less like Western governments, less tyrannical, less like Justin fucking Fidel Castro's son Trudeau, then what you need is you need to have people in authority that have accountability towards you because you're tight with them on some level. Like, you can't be voting for nobody strangers that are only motivated by money because their family circle is pretty tight and small. No, you want people with big families. You want people that are active in their communities, active in the church, people that you can literally get time with in person. You know, I mean, I'm sure they don't have a lot of time. You see how this works. You have a better society. That's why small towns are less corrupt generally. Not always. I mean, sometimes you get like a corrupt sheriff's office or whatever. But small towns are generally less corrupt. There's less crime, and they're a higher trust society because everybody knows everybody, and you're not going to get away with shit when you go and steal from me. Because then I'm going to tell your mom, and your mom's going to tell your dad, and then you're not going to be allowed to come over on the holidays anymore. And for all you know, your dad might send your cousin out there to kick your ass for stealing my shit. Because I know your parents. I know your cousin. See how this works? So, again, that's one of the main reasons why when I was commenting to Andrew that I think that marriage is critical for a healthy community, for a homogenous community. And by homogenous, I don't mean like racially homogenous or anything weird like that. Like, I don't believe in like racial nationalism or anything like that. I believe in more like a cultural nationalism where anybody and their brother can move here and be part of our country. And if you grew up and you were born and raised in France and you moved over here at age 25, having only ever lived in France, but you moved to America to be American and participate in the American vision, and you learn the language and you adopt our values and you do things the way we do things, and even go as far as to do your best to eat the way we eat, God help you, you should be welcome. You know, if you come out of Mexico or Central America and you come here to be American and do things the way we want to do things, and you know, live the way that we live and think the way that we think, you know, and have those values the same as we have, speak our language, you should be welcome. I mean, we could even leave the borders wide open for the most part if we just didn't give out free handouts all the time, which is another reason why it's important that family needs to be the granular unit of society. Because it's not the state's problem when you need help and you do get hurt on the job. If I fall off a roof and break my leg, it shouldn't be the government cutting me a check to make sure that my rent gets paid. It should be my church or my family or a little bit of both. It should be friends who heard about, oh man, sorry about your leg, I just came over to sign your cast. You alright, buddy? You need something? Well, you know, I got this car payment coming up in 3 weeks. And they're like, oh, well, you know, what if I give you a couple $100? Would that help? Or maybe I can loan you some money, or I'll put in a word for you at the local bank. You know, the bank teller, you know, she was really happy the way that you helped out her son with that cheap price on that roof the other month. Maybe she can get you a loan approval, and then you can get a little personal loan to get you through this hard time. You see what opens up, and you see the possibilities that occur when you have a tight society. It's not your race, it's not your ethnicity. That's not what matters. What matters is that when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do, and when you render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So at a certain point, I mean, as bad as taxes are and as shitty as they are, there's always going to be some of them. If you know the money's being spent on you to benefit you in some indirect way, or people that you know and care about, you probably wouldn't give a shit about paying taxes. I think the main reason we all hate paying taxes is look at what the fuck the government does with that money. The stupid shit they get into. The wars they start. The fucking destabilization in other nations that they foster by paying off people to throw coups and whatnot. It's disgusting. And then you got some clown that comes over here illegally. He gets a full ride, free health care. You know, he gets a check for every kid he abducts and takes with him over the border to come here, and they're not his kids, it's just some kids he stole from somebody so that he'd have some kids, some dependents, you know. And then he comes over here and he falls asleep at the wheel driving home drunk after, you know, partying all day, because why should he get a job? He's getting welfare and Medicare or whatever, Medicaid. And then our president says that this dude is not going to be treated like a felon. Well, what rule hasn't he broke? Why shouldn't he be locked in a hole underneath the prison in whatever country he crawled out of to legally come over here? Well, it's kind of hard to tell the president, and you should calm down with that shit when he doesn't answer to you. Whatever his family consists of, it's not people like you and me, is it? And I could say that for every last president that's been president, to be honest with you. I would argue that the only perfect president was the first one we ever had, George Washington. But now I'm getting way off topic, like I always do. We're getting on 20 minutes. So anyways, hopefully towards the end of this 20 minutes, like the last 8 minutes, you'll watch that and kind of get the gist of this. So if you're just tuning in and scrolling, watch the second 10 minutes of the 20-minute thing. thanks for the TED Talk, or attending mine anyways.